What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for P-Valley Season 2, Episode 7, you guys. So before the episode is titled Jackson. Before we jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not subscribed, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video. And with that out the way, you guys, without further ado, let's discuss P-Valley, shall we? All right, down in the valley where the girls get naked. If you throwing bands, then you know she gon' shake it. 1, 2, break them. 3, 4, break them. These niggas grind hard, but these bitches grind harder. Climbing up the pole just to get out the bottle. The crowd below, we're done. All right, you guys, so this episode, what I'm gonna do is I split it up. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the small stuff and then we'll work our way up to the big stories of the episode. So this episode, I'm going to start up with Keyshawn. So we see Keyshawn in this episode and she and Derek are out shopping, right? They're at the grocery store. And, you know, Derek is now trying to be nice to Keyshawn after, you know, beating the hell out of the girl, right? So he's telling her, you know, hey, maybe tomorrow we can go down to Jackson, go to some of the outlets so that way we can get Regal some of them Prada booties that you've been wanting to get her. She's like, no, Derek, she's gonna grow out of them, so let's not. So then she was looking and she saw Autumn. So she told Derek, you know what, let me go get some makeup, you know, just to basically conceal what he's done to her. So she walks over there where Autumn is, and Autumn was like, well, I see that you obviously have not used that gun that I gave you. She has not. She said she tried to, but she just couldn't, which we saw it in the last episode where she tried to use it, but she just couldn't. And like I said before, that wasn't her, like him abusing the kids, like that wasn't her rock bottom. And I just don't know at this point what could be a rock bottom for Keyshawn at this point. I just don't know what that rock bottom is, because he's abusing. It's one thing to abuse you, but to take it out on an innocent, defenseless child, that's where I draw the line at. I draw the line with the woman as well, but the child. So, Autumn tells her that there are other ways that this can be done without using the gun. There are other ways. I mean, there are other ways that you can get around, you know, getting out of that situation. But hey, we'll see what Keyshawn finally decides to do. You guys are here. The airplane's flying over. So we'll be okay. So at the end of the episode, we see Autumn. So she went back over to Keyshawn's place, right? And Derek answered the door like, who are you? I don't know you. So Keyshawn went out to see who it was. She's like, oh, that's Autumn. We used to work at the club together. So then she said she brought a gift for Regal. She went to the outlet mall and she went to the Prada store. So she presents the gift to Keyshawn. So then we see her and Keyshawn and they're talking in Regal's room. And then Autumn was like, well, you know, because Regal was fussy. So she was like, can I see her? So she said, yeah. So she handed her Regal and then she started telling her a story. And it's really Autumn. It's winter. No, why did I say winter? I'm thinking about Love and Marriage DC already. But Autumn is telling Keyshawn her story. And so then she got the bag and she took it to her. She opened up the bag and inside of it was a phone. She says, whenever you're ready, just call me. Autumn Colton. Call me when you're ready to get out of this situation. Girl, I hope she's ready now. I was like, wait, babe, I'm ready now. Help me, please. But hey, we'll see what she decides to do, you guys. But let's pause here and let's move forward. All right, you guys, so next up, I think we're going to go ahead and talk about Terica. Now, you guys remember in the last episode that we saw, Terica went back over there where Mercedes was, and she told Mercedes that she was pregnant. So we see Mercedes in this episode. She's on the phone with Shell, and she's telling, you know, saying to Shell, like, hey, let us stay with me just a little bit longer. She's like, she's already been over there with you for 2 days. She's like, okay, well, let us stay a little bit longer. It's okay. She's, because, you know, we all know Shell has been drinking, and, you know, Shell's like, well, don't be having her wearing none of that damn floss. And she says, well, you don't be driving while you're drinking that damn Moscato. So Shell hung up the phone on her. So Mercedes went to Terica's room to ask Terica, you know, like, hey, Terica, so you've been here for a few days at this point. What's your decision? She asked her, you know, what you gonna do? She's like, oh, I've done my book report. I've been thinking about what color I want to paint my room and all this kind of stuff. And Mercedes like, damn well it ain't what I'm talking about. What you gonna do about that damn baby? So, then Terica told Mercedes, like, I'm having a craving for some ice cream with this and with that and da 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 da. Now, I did not notice in last week's episode, I don't know if I noticed it in last week's episode or not. Well, I know I didn't. But I don't know if they made a point to show us Terica's stomach. Because at this point, in this episode, you can clearly see that Terica is pretty far in her pregnancy. Like, she is not, she is not like she is 4 weeks late or even 5 weeks late. Terica looks like because she has a little bump. So I'm like, yeah, Terica is pretty far into that pregnancy at this point. So Mercedes like, okay, let's go. We're going to go to TCBY. I think that's what she said. I know that place. We don't, I don't think we have any of them here in Texas anymore. We used to have one in my hometown, but they closed that one. I don't know if they still exist, but hey, it is what it is. So we see Terica and Mercedes. So they riding down the freeway. Then you hear, there's some hoes in this house. And there's some hoes in. I said, certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass pussy. Make that pull out game week. Hey, me and Terica did it. That's how I am when it comes to y'all. She is annoying. That's how I am when it comes to that song. So Mercedes like, pull out game. That's how you got into this shit in the first place. It sure the hell is. So Terica is like, wait a minute, Sadie, where are we going? Because she's like, we ain't going to TCBY here, are we? She's like, nah, we going to Jackson. She was like, what the hell we going to? So I guess in Chucalissa, there's no. Actually, no, it's kind of interesting because my hometown, there's no Planned Parenthood or anything in my hometown. When it was before Roe versus Wade being overturned, if a girl in my hometown wanted to have an abortion, she couldn't get one in East Texas, in my hometown of Tyler. They would have to come up here to Dallas to get one. But now they can't even go nowhere. They have to go outside of the state. That is just terrible. But that's neither here nor there. So Terica got pissed off at Mercedes. She told her to pull the car over. So when they pulled the car over, Terica threw up. So Terica has no idea what the hell she wants to do. And Mercedes is telling her, like, girl, you got to get yourself together because this is some real shit. And she was basically telling her how, black women, they do die in childbirth. We know that. There's actually a special on Hulu where they're discussing that, and I need to watch that. So Terica was like, but my friend and her mama said that if you get an abortion, you'll get cancer. And she was like, tell her and her bald-headed whole mama that they don't know what they're talking about, which that is true. And there are complications from getting an abortion. Some women can be, there are instances where you can have an abortion and you're unable to, have any other kids. So I know that's something that plagues women, the negatives that come with it, but there are also some negatives from childbirth. So it's just a decision of what do you want to do, and that's what. And when it comes to these pro-life people, they just irritate my spirit. Damn it. I hope y'all get it. I hope that did not pick up on camera, so I'm going to have to listen to this to make sure that man's music did not pick up on my camera. But there are so many things that, can go wrong with childbirth. We all know that. So then we see Mercedes and Terica. At one point, they pulled over to like a diner because Terica has to go use the bathroom. So Mercedes is looking in the window, and Mercedes is having a flashback to her with Patrice Woodbine. So this is when Mercedes was dating Cortez. So Mercedes went in her wallet to get some money out of it, and then Pastor Woodbine notices the condoms. She's like, what the fuck is this? And she took the condom, and she's like, her boyfriend Cortez been doing this for her, doing that for her. Child, when I tell you Patrice commenced to whooping her ass, I'm like, that is your daughter. You just beating her like she just some random woman off the damn street. I mean, she was just swinging on her ass. I mean, just a swinging. So then we see Mercedes and Terica, so they're back on the road driving. So, and I don't know how old Terica is. I'm gonna assume Terica, well, when she got pulled over, so I'm assuming Terica is between 14 and 15 years old, maybe. She's obviously a teenager, so she's anywhere between 13 to 15, and her boyfriend is 14. And Terica is telling Mercedes that the father wants to keep the baby. He wants to keep the baby. He wants to be a family with her. He wants to provide for the baby. And Mercedes like, girl, how is he gonna provide for the baby? She was like, he is 14. He can't even get a job. She's like, well, you can get a job at 14. That is part time, my dear. And with the cost, with inflation today, 14 years old, you're gonna get a part time job. So that means you're gonna be working 20 hours a week, if that. And you gotta deal with Uncle Sam's greedy ass taking taxes out of your check, baby. Y'all ain't gonna be able to afford diapers, nothing. And then that's the other thing when I think about these whole pro-life people. They say that that's a way for people to just, when they have sex and they don't want the baby, it's just easy for them to make that decision to have an abortion, which is not an easy decision. But if you think about it, when it's people who live in poverty or below the poverty line, you got to think about it. These people are working jobs where they cannot afford to take care of their kids. If you tell me to get a job that pays a minimum wage, I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy, right? Because when I was in high school and stuff, working minimum wage, and back when I was in school, minimum wage was $5.25 an hour, and then they bumped it up to $6.25, and then they bumped it up to $7.25. That's still not a lot of money. So even people like I said, people who live in and below the poverty line, 9 times out of 10 they are working a job that pays a minimum wage. So they got to take care of themselves. They have to feed their kids. They have to provide, they have to feed the kids. They have to provide a place for them and the kids to stay. They have to feed the kids and themselves. How do you expect someone to do that on $5.25, $7.25, $8.25, whatever the minimum wage is today? How do you expect a person to survive off of that? And then they get upset when people come down to the welfare office looking for assistance. They say, get a job, do this, do that. How do you expect a person to do better for themselves if they can't get out of that situation that they are in? I want people to really think about it. I want these pro-life people to just think about that situation. The maternity leave is terrible for women. It's terrible. There's no paid time off for women when they have maternity leave. So think about that. So I just put that out. I just preached about that, but I'm actually glad that they put this in this episode, because it just makes you sit and literally think about things. So yeah. So then they pull up to the clinic, and then there go all those pro-life people. I really cannot stand I have to be honest. If you guys are pro-life, that's fine. I'm not telling you that you have to be pro-choice or pro-life. But I'm just saying, for me, I can't stand pro-life people, because I feel like pro-life people are preachy and pushing their religion onto other people. That you're pushing your religion onto people who, one, might not even be religious, or two, don't have the same ideals and beliefs as you do. So you're forcing someone to do what you want them to do based off of what your Bible says, what the word says to you. It's not what it says to them. So we find out that Terica is in fact 14 weeks pregnant, and she is 4 days. She's on the cusp of hitting that mark where she can't get an abortion. I think it's within 4 days. So Terica has to make a decision expeditiously at this point. So then we see Mercedes and Terica. So they're sitting out by a pool at whatever hotel that they're staying at, and Mercedes is once again asking Terica, like, so Terica, what you gonna do? And Terica still doesn't know what she's gonna do. And I'm just like, little girl, when that woman told you that you were 14 weeks pregnant, and when you saw that sonogram, I'm like, baby girl, that is a fully formed baby at this point. Girl, you got some thinking to do. Like, you really don't have time to think. It's either I'm going to get this abortion or I'm not going to get this abortion. But Terica keeps going back and forth, and she and Mercedes got into it at one point. And I get Terica's frustration with Mercedes, right? Because it feels as if Mercedes is trying to tell her to get this. She feels like Mercedes is telling her to get this abortion, and they're arguing because of the contentious relationship between Terica and Mercedes. So I get Terica's frustration with Mercedes. Like, you telling me so much stuff to do, but you didn't do this for me, you didn't do that for me. And I really do get, I understand Terica's standpoint, because I've at one point in my life felt that way. Not being, not the, I can't get pregnant, but I have felt the way about my biological mother. It's like, damn. And I'm not gonna speak too deeply on her, but yeah, I felt Terica's frustration, because that's how I felt because like I said, she's about 13, 14 years old, and I felt Terica's frustration at that age with my biological mother. Like, why didn't you keep me? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why? I had a lot of why questions. So I get Terica's frustration. I truly do. So eventually, with all this arguing that Terica and Mercedes was doing with one another, and I think at first neither one of them was truly listening to the other, because Mercedes was trying to tell Terica, like, I was a teenager, wasn't no judge, my mama, Shell, wasn't nobody finna give me you. I've been working my ass off to prove I'm not just some hoe on a pole. And Terica, so I see both sides with that one. I see both sides of the coin. But they eventually found a way to connect with each other. So then we see them as they're leaving the hotel. So Mercedes said to Terica, like, so, what's your decision gonna be? Like, she's like, what do you think I should do? Mercedes was like, that's not for me to do. That's not my decision. That's yours. She threw her the keys, and she said, if you want to go to Jackson, we go to Jackson. If you want to go back home to Chucalissa, we go home to Chucalissa. That's your decision. That is your decision. She says, have you figured out what color you want your room to be? So I love that Mercedes, at this point, it stopped feeling like Mercedes was trying to preach to Terica and just say, hey, Terica, whatever your decision is, I fully support you in this scene. I did laugh at that scene at the hotel where that man was walking by. She's like, keep moving, R. Kelly. She's 14. That was funny to me. So we see them driving home, right? So Terica, they pass the sign. They get to the sign where it says Jackson, and you take a right. So what did Terica do? Flipped on a signal light and exited toward Jackson, Mississippi. So it looks like Terica has decided that she is going to have an abortion. And I know people, I don't want to see any, I know it's probably going to be think pieces on Twitter and Facebook everywhere about this episode, and I'm just not really looking forward to it, but I don't really give a shit. Like I've told you guys before, I know someone firsthand who had an abortion. That is not an easy decision to come to. That is a difficult decision to come to. That is a difficult decision. And like I was saying in my Hot Topics video, he without sin cast the first stone. So if you are a perfect person, then if you're perfect, then that's fine. But I don't think anyone on this earth is perfect. I think we all fall short of the glory of God, and I think we all sin. So don't judge anybody for any decisions that they make in their lives. So then we see, as Terica and Mercedes, they're back home after Terica's had the abortion, and they're watching TV, and then they see Patrice on the TV. Terica was feeling away, and she's like, nah. This is Mercedes telling her, nah, don't let her, don't worry about her. The only power we can give to her is the power. The only power that she has is the power that we give to her. So she says, well, do you think so Terica asks Mercedes, do you think I'm going to burn in hell? And Mercedes says, well, if you're going to burn in hell, I'm going to be right there beside you. Where's my laptop? It's in my backpack. All right. So yeah, she says, if you're going to burn in hell, I'm going to be right there beside you. So I love that scene. So let's pause here, you guys, and we're going to wrap up the episode with Uncle Clifford, murder, and grandmother Ernestine. All right, you guys, so the episode, it actually opened up and we saw Grandma Ernestine. So it looked like we were in the 1970s, and you guys, I love hearing Loretta Devine sing. Her voice is just so beautiful and angelic. So, like I said, it looks like we're in the 1970s, back before the Paint became the Paint. So it's when Grandma Ernestine owned the joint. And, she's singing. And then we see a young Uncle Clifford. And we see Uncle Clifford's mother. So after that, we move to like the present day. And Uncle Clifford's mother is telling her mama, Mama, come on, it's time to come home. And she was like, no, it ain't time for me to come home. So then we're at the Pynk. So we see Autumn. She's meeting up with Uncle Clifford. And Uncle Clifford is basically giving Autumn the rundown of the history of the Pynk. And Autumn says, well, you're not talking me out of selling this place. I'm like, damn, bitch. This woman is telling you the history. Her grandfather, her great-grandfather, her grandmother, and your ass still said that ain't gonna... She says, girl, fuck you and that history. I'm still selling this motherfucker. I'm like, well, damn, bitch. Okay. So she says the best that they can hope for is to get what? Because she says that referendum is coming. That referendum is gonna pass. The casino is coming. So at this point, the only thing we can do is get what the Pynk is worth. And Uncle Clifford was like, what the hell you think it's worth? She says, well, those white people did offer me $5 million. She said, what? And she turned it down. She says, bitch, you turned it down. Yeah, because she wants $10 million. Now, when Autumn was talking in this scene, I was a little confused. I know she was talking about her daughter. So, because she was talking about her daughter, but I'm like, are you trying to rectify situations that happen with your daughter? Like, I was kind of confused. If you guys understood that, let me know in the comment section below and we'll discuss it. So then we move back over to over to Murder. So Murder, he lighting up a blunt, right? And Murder's just having these flashbacks of Big Teak, especially with Big Teak unliving himself. So then he hears, Miss Ernestine, and she's coughing. So he goes to go check on Miss Ernestine, and he's telling her, you gotta eat. So he's brought some food to her. She's like, I'm not finna eat Clifford's chicken and dressing. And he was like, nah, this ain't that. He's like, I cooked for you. And she's like, wait a minute. Smothered pork chops, yams, cornbread, and collard greens? So she ate it, and she's like, oh shit, this is good. And it was kind of funny to me, the fact that she had her sense of taste and smell. Because when I had COVID, I couldn't smell anything. Let me think. No, I could. So it was interesting because it was only one nostril. So this one here, I couldn't sniff. I couldn't smell out. So if I want to smell something, I would have to close this one and sniff using this one because I couldn't smell anything. And then I told you guys with my sense of taste, that completely went away. Like, I couldn't taste anything. And then when my taste buds did come back, like certain things that weren't sour had a very, very pungent and sour taste to it. Like ketchup, that was the most, when I was eating ketchup, that was the most disgusting thing I had ate. Like, I love ketchup. So when I eat, like with my hamburgers, I eat it with ketchup only ketchup on my burgers. So me eating a hamburger, I literally had to close my nose just to eat the hamburger because the taste of ketchup was just nasty. And as far as French fries, me putting ketchup on a fry, forget about it. So Uncle Clifford, actually no, before that, so Grandma Ernestine, she also told Little Murder, she's like, I smell something else too. He's like, what'd you smell? She said, it's the smell of death. I was like, oh no. No. And I knew when she said the smell of death, I knew that death was surrounding her and not Murder. Even though it is still around him. And she was talking about the night that he came to the house. She smelled it on him when he had all of Teak's blood on him. So then we see Uncle Clifford. She got home and she was freaking out because she didn't see Murder, nor did she see Grandma Ernestine. But she went in the room where Murder was with Grandma Ernestine. And Murder's like, she's good. She's good. Check the temperature. She still had a fever. It was 101. I'm like, damn. Which, with that is true, you guys, because that fever for me, it took a week. it took like a full week for my fever to finally break, because my fever would break, but then it would spike back up again, and I would take an ibuprofen. It would go up. I think the highest that it went at one point was 104, and it went back down to 99.9, but then an hour later it spiked right back up. Then I took some more ibuprofen, went back down. So it spiked for a couple of days. If it spiked for a couple of days. So Murder and Clifford, they went to the kitchen table, so they're talking. So Uncle Clifford is telling Lil Murder about the situation with Haley and how she got those white crackers from the promised land to offer her $5 million. So Lil Murder's doing the math in his head. So it's about like 1.74 for you, I think he said. I can't remember the exact amount. And he's like, "Oh, look at you being good with numbers." He said, "Let me find out about that Tina." So I wonder, when are we ever going to see her? Because they made it. I mean, we saw her in the studio with. We didn't really see her, but we knew that was her in the studio with Never Scared. So are we gonna see Megan Thee Stallion, you guys? Because I mean, come on, are we seeing Megan Thee Stallion at all? So Clifford asked Murder how is he doing, and Murder's like, he's good. He's like, really? Because I heard you on the couch crying the other night. And Murder kind of plays it off. So then we later see Murder. So his phone is blowing up, and so this Tina Snow song, it's out, and everybody's talking about it. So then Wody calls him and tells him like, "Hey, everybody talking about this song. The promoters, the people with the Dirty Dozen tour where you guys were booked at, they looking at you guys and they want you guys to come back on tour." So he was like, "So who's gonna be security? Because we ain't got Big T no more." So then he asked him about Big T. So Big T's body is still at the funeral home, and his family hasn't come to claim the body. I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. Or does he have family? Well, he does. Does he have? I mean, because we know what happened with his mom and his siblings. So he might not have family like that. But Murder tells him HVH is gonna foot the bill and make sure he has the proper burial. So after he hung up the phone with Wody, he heard a noise upstairs. So he was like, "Wait a minute, what the hell is going on up there?" So he goes upstairs and he checks on Uncle Clifford. Uncle Clifford is going through some of his old clothes. He's going, like, you see like that Cisco jacket, and Murder pretending like he didn't know who Cisco was. Then he see Uncle Clifford's first bag he ever had. He said he's had that bag since he was a little boy, well, a little girl, a child, because he does go by she and he again. But I know primarily it's she, but hey. So Clifford asked Uncle Clifford, "Have you always been like this?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" Being authentically you, which is something Murder unfortunately can be, and Murder is also used to fucking with niggas that could pass. And Uncle Clifford was like, "Well, with me, it ain't no passing shit over here. This is me all day, every day." So then we see Uncle Clifford. We heard the door open, and they were frantic because Grandma Ernestine, she walked out and left. So we see her as she's walking, down. It looked like she's walking to the river or the creek, and they stopped her, and she was like, she wanted the water. So Murder got like a towel or something, and he put the water all over her, and she said she was going to go be with her daughter, and Murder was like, "Who is he talking about?" She's like, "My mother." So Clifford is like, "We got to get her back home." Murder's like, "Clifford, her hands are cold. Her hands are blue." I'm like, "Oh no, that ain't a good sign." But you guys, again, we have to remember that the setting of this season right here is 2020. And 2020 was a scary time. 2020 was a scary time. But I mean, we're back in scary times right now with monkeypox and everything that's going on currently. There's a new strain of COVID and everything. And I think I saw something where, was it measles? No, it's one of those diseases that they thought they got rid of with vaccines, that's popping back up. So we're getting back into some scary times, but at this point, I don't think that the world's going to shut down ever again. I don't think that the economists ever want that. So they get home, and the paramedics, they're taking, Miss Ernestine away. She's telling Clifford, like, I'm never coming back home. I was like, oh no. She's telling Clifford that she doesn't want to, die alone in the hospital. Whew. Flashbacks to 2020, man. It's real. It's real. It was real flashbacks. So Murder tells Clifford, you gotta say goodbye. So Clifford does say goodbye. So then the last part of the episode, well, not the last part, but the last part of their scene, we see as Clifford, she's in the shower, she's getting clean. So then she gets out of the shower, and you hear the thong song playing in the background, and you see Murder. So Murder is just got all these clothes on, and he's taking everything off, and baby, Uncle Clifford and Murder, they laid in the bed and they were laughing, kikiing, and then Uncle Clifford got really sad because he thought about his grandmother. So Clifford turned over, and then Murder, came in, like, I got you. So then Clifford turned over and they started kissing, and they were ready to get it in. So Uncle Clifford, she grabs the condoms, and Murder was like, I don't want that. So Uncle Clifford like, are you good, as in, are you negative good? And he was like, yeah. So he said, I want to feel you inside of me. I was like, oh shit now. They start having sex, and he said, fill me up, nigga. I was like, oh, nasty. It was like, I was like, okay, Murder. I didn't know that Murder was verse. I didn't know Murder was verse. So I wonder, was he in Teak verse? Because we saw Big Teak was the bottom, but I wonder if they had one. I wonder if they were ever a verse. What things that make you go, So, we see them. I think it was the next morning, and they were talking, and Murder was about breaking down about Teak, but Uncle Clifford told him, like, you don't have to do this right here and right now. So they are. There's something, right? I don't know if they're gonna go public. I don't even think they can go public because Murder, like I said earlier about Murder, like Murder said, he's so used to fucking with niggas that can pass. Clifford is the first nigga that this is the first person that he's been with that is authentically himself. I wonder would Murder, sacrifice everything for Clifford. I do wonder about that. Would Murder be willing to sacrifice his career, his homies, like the niggas who know him? I wonder if, and I know you guys are going to say, because you guys have left it in the comments, and I know we still do have to worry about that tape out there of Murder and Big Teak. I know that tape still exists. But for me personally, I would prefer, like Olivia Pope says, you stay ahead of the story. I would prefer for Murder, because we can clearly see that Murder and Clifford obviously love each other, have some deep, strong feelings for one another. We can definitely 100% see that, right? So I'm just wondering if Murder, is he going to come out, or I feel like what's going to happen is Murder's going to be forced to come out. I just see that happen. I feel like Murder's going to be forced to come out. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want that. But I'm pretty sure that's going to happen because that tape, it's out there. It's out. Someone has it. I know that Rome wasn't the only person that had that tape of Murder and Teak. Somebody else got it. Who got it? I don't know. But somebody got it. And it's going to rear its ugly head at some point. But hey, you guys, that's the episode. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your post notifications. You guys share the video. And until the next time, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands, you guys. Wear a mask. Socially distance. Be blessed. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.